Hello and welcome to the transcription explanation of this design. It was done using Loren Sherman's script, which uses a combination of dots and lines combined with four different shaped letter stems, which are these darker circles around here. And then there's also vowels, which are the trickiest part of the script because they can either be by themselves, which they would look like this. So here's an O inside the word circle, an E on the line of the word circle, or an A outside the word circle. And an I is like an E but with a line going towards the middle, and a U is like an E but with a line going outwards. Or they can be enclosed in one of these four stems. So here they are in their relative positions there, and they're all color coded. So A's are the golden ones, E's are the silver ones, and O's are the bronze ones. Anyway, let's go ahead and get to this design. You read this starting at the bottom and going counterclockwise, which is why I start with the first word at the bottom. So here's our first word circle, and inside it, there's a circle inside the word circle. So we're in this stem, so circle inside the word circle. And there are 1, 2, 3 lines attached to that. In lines, they can curve, they can be straight. Doesn't matter what they do so long as they end on the stem they count for. So these 3 lines make that an M. So M is our first letter because it's at the bottom of the first word circle, crosses the middle and is lowest. And then we have a Y with 2 dots on a circle on the line of the word circle. So this is this stem with 2 dots. So there's the Y. So my, and then we have this word here, because this is actually just the line coming off of the M. These are not word circles or anything fancy there. It's just contained by the M line. Here's our next word. Bottom of it's here. Here's our first letter. And there are 1, 2 dots on a circle inside the word circle. And this line passes through it and connects up to the I, so it doesn't count. So 2 dots makes that a K. Then we have that I we talked about. So it's got a line going towards the middle. So I line going towards the middle, whereas U is towards the outside. So there's the I. And then we have this deep divot here. So it's more than 50% completed. It starts to wrap back in on itself, as opposed to the shallow divot, which is 50% or less completed. So here's a shallow divot here, and this is a deep divot here, because it starts to curve back in a tiny bit. So this is a deep divot, this is a shallow divot, deep divot, shallow divot. Anyway, this is a deep divot with 1, 2, 3 dots. And even though this dot is between these two, it is closer here to this letter, so it goes here. So 1, 2, 3 dots on that D. And then we have this shallow divot. And you can put words stacked inside the circle of a shallow divot. Normally there's a little gap between them, so like you'd have a little visible space kind of like this between your words, or like this between your words. But I wanted to make this all connected because it's the my kids are assholes bit, and then slightly separated from the actual kids' names from the quote. So that's why I put these directly overlapped, plus it looks kind of cool when they're directly touching. And then these a little bit more complicated because it's a bit bigger and it can be a bit busier. Anyway, here we have that shallow divot taken out of this word circle, and it has 1, 2, 3 lines ending on it. So those 3 lines make it an S. So kids, and then we have this word circle here, and again there's another shallow divot taken out of it here. Even though this lines back up with the word circle, it's still got that chunk missing here. So if it were to have continued through, then it wouldn't have that divot because it doesn't continue through, it doesn't. So this is a sneaky way of doing a shallow divot by lining it up with another divot on another word. Anyway, so here's our first letter. It's an A, and this A is slightly closer to this word than this word, which is why we know it goes here as opposed to here. So that's the word, the letter A. And then we have this shallow divot I talked about with 3 dots. So that's an R. And then we have the E on the line of the word circle. So there's A, R, E. So my kids are, and then we have this big word circle here. And it actually has a proper sentence circle going around it. So this thing here is the sentence circle. And the first letter of this word, bottom of the word circles here, is this, the letter A, again, just like that letter A. And then we have a shallow divot with 1, 2, 3 lines, so that's an S, just like that S. And then we have another shallow divot with 1, 2, 3 lines, so there's another S. And then this is a deep divot. So even though these look really similar, this one is deeper. Like I said before, it curves back in on itself, and the center of this circle is actually inside the word circle itself. So anyway, there's the 1, 2 lines on the H, because deep divot 2 lines is an H, and this line passes through it, so it doesn't count. So H, and then we have an O little circle inside the word circle. Then we have an L with 3 dots, just like a K, but with another dot. Then we have the E inside that L, like that. So if there's a consonant and a vowel together, you read the consonant first and then the vowel. So L-E, and then we have our last S, 1, 2, 3 lines on the S. So there's our lovely assholes. And then the assholes themselves, we have the kids' names here. And this is, the order kind of doesn't matter so much for these because they're both attached to this. But if I were to be stringent, I would read this one first and then this one because bottom counterclockwise. So here we have our first name, bottom of the word circles here. This has 2 dots on a circle inside the word circle, so that's a K, just like this K with 2 dots. And then we have a Y, 1, 2, on a circle on the line, just like this Y. And then an L with 1, 2, 3 dots, just like this L with 3 dots. And then an E on the line of the word circle, just like that E. So there's Kyle. And then we have our last name, bottom of the word circles here. And this is kind of tricky to tell that it's the first letter because it's so far in, but it still is a little bit towards the bottom. It's not exactly centered, and that's on purpose, because if it were exactly centered, you wouldn't know what position it was in the word, and you also sometimes spiral inwards for letters. But anyway, this is at the bottom, and it is the first letter, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4 dots with it. So even though these, I cheesed this one to make it look cool. So this one has the most cheese happening. These 4 dots have to go somewhere, and their closest word circle, let me start from the beginning of this word. So dots count at their closest valid stem. So a viable stem is a stem that doesn't have too many dots or lines on it already. So if these 3 dots counted here, then these 4 dots would also count here, and there would be 7 dots. You can't have 7 dots, so that's a problem. But these 1, 2, 3, 4 dots are all closest to this stem, so they have to count there. So those 4 dots count there, making it a C, and that's a super special letter C. You only use the letter C if it is in a proper noun or something where it matters that's a C. Otherwise, you're supposed to swap the C to an S or a K, depending on what sound it makes. So anyway, this is the letter C, and then we have an A, because here's the bottom. Then our next letter is here, A, and then we have an R, 1, 2, 3 dots, shallow divot, and then R, 1, 2, 3 dots, because like I said before, even though these dots are pretty equidistant between these two, this already has 4 dots, can't have any more, but this doesn't have any dots, so they go there. So 3 dots for that R, and then I, and then an E. So Carrie, C-A-R-R-I-E, is our next name. So yeah, that's this one has the most cheese happening. I guess this also has some cheese with the lining up there. Anyway, it all still works out. It's all still unambiguously legible. There's no other way you could interpret this and have it be completely right with all the dots having a spot. Anyway, so yeah, my kids are assholes, Kyle, Carrie. So that's that design. I'm really happy with how it turned out. It should make an awesome tattoo, especially on that upper shoulder with the layout like this. So yeah, that's that. I hope you like it.